Hello everyone, welcome to How-FixIT. If you're here, you probably had a bit of bad luck with your DJI Mini 4 Pro, and now you're looking for a gimbal repair guide. Don't worry, I'm here to help you fix it yourself. In this video, we'll cover everything from replacing the camera gimbal assembly to completely disassembling the gimbal and replacing any damaged parts, including the reassembly process. First things first, let's go over the tools you'll need. Screwdriver set with Phillips 1 and Torx T5 screwdriver, a plastic spudger, a pair of tweezers, a glue gun, and B7000 glue. I've included links to these tools and the replacement gimbal parts in the video description below. The DJI Mini 4 Pro drone is a complex device with many small screws and parts. I recommend keeping track of every screw and part during the disassembly process to help you reassemble your drone successfully. And don't worry about losing screws and metal parts. They will all stay on the magnetic mat. Alright, let's dive in. Before disassembling the drone, remove the battery. Remove the 4 screws holding the top cover in place using your Torx T5 screwdriver. Gently use your plastic spudger to pry off the top cover. Be careful not to damage the clips holding it in place or accidentally insert a tool and damage the internal components. With the top cover removed, you now have access to the drone's internal components. Disconnect the gimbal transmission cable from the motherboard by unscrewing one screw and removing the metal bracket. Very carefully remove the adhesive pad and then disconnect the gimbal cable. Detach the covers that provide access to the rubber holders of the camera gimbal by gripping the edge and using a little force to pull them off. Be careful not to damage the internal latches. Remove the second cover in the same order. The camera gimbal is mounted on rubber holders on both sides. To remove the gimbal, you need to thread these rubber holders through a small hole in the drone housing. Use tweezers to pull the rubber holder from the inside and push it inward from the opposite side. You can now replace the camera gimbal assembly. I've included a link to the replacement gimbal in the description below. But there are some things you should keep in mind if you decide to replace the camera gimbal assembly. After replacing the gimbal assembly, you may need to calibrate your drone. You cannot do it using the DJI Fly app or DJI Assistant. You will need special software. I have linked a video tutorial on how to calibrate the gimbal in the description below, but it would be better to replace the specific damaged gimbal part. In this case, the repair will cost you less, and you may not need to calibrate your drone. So we move on to disassemble the camera gimbal into parts. Use tweezers to remove the rubber holders. Often, these rubber holders tear during a crash, but the good news is that they are inexpensive to replace. A link to new rubber holders is in the description. Slide the camera lens counterclockwise to remove it. Remove 2 screws using a Phillips 1 screwdriver. Carefully slide the camera module out of the gimbal housing, but be cautious. The camera is still connected to the transmission cable. Carefully disconnect the transmission cable from the camera module, as the cable connector is quite fragile. You can now remove the camera module. If the camera is still functional, you can swap the camera module into a new gimbal motor assembly. Unscrew 3 screws to remove the camera back cover. Pry up the roll cover to remove it from the gimbal. Remove 3 more screws, disconnect the transmission cable, and access the gimbal roll motor for replacement. You can replace the gimbal roll motor. I've included a link to the new roll motor in the description. Pry up the yaw cover to access the transmission cable, remove the glue on the connector, and disconnect the transmission cable from the motor. Push the pitch cover from the inside to remove it from the gimbal. Now you can replace the transmission cable. I have included a link to the new transmission cable for the gimbal in the description below. Unscrew the 3 screws, securing the pitch motor in place. Disconnect the cable and remove the gimbal pitch motor. Remove 3 more screws to separate the yaw motor from the yaw bracket. You can now replace the yaw motor assembly or the yaw arm separately. And last, the most breakable part of the gimbal is the yaw bracket. If this part of the gimbal is damaged, you have to disassemble the entire gimbal to replace it. So, we completely disassembled the camera gimbal of the DJI Mini 4 Pro into parts. Now you know how to identify and replace specific damaged parts on your drone. You will find links to all replacement gimbal parts in the video description below. And after a moment, we move on to reassembling the camera gimbal. Let's start reassembling the gimbal. Use B7000 glue to re-glue some parts. It is resistant to water and vibration. Use a glue gun to secure connectors that were previously fixed with glue. If you don't have a fresh thermal compound, use the paste from the old module. Gather the thermal paste together to ensure it is redistributed correctly under the pressure of the heatsink. Pay attention to the correct fit. The holes should align with the protrusions on the gimbal housing. The camera gimbal is assembled. Let's move on to installing it on the drone body. When installing the camera gimbal, ensure the wide and narrow holders are threaded into the corresponding holes in the drone housing. Press the rubber holder on the inside with your finger and pull up the edge with tweezers. Lay out the flexible cable of the camera gimbal and install the plugs. Ensure the metal bracket fits into its grooves on both sides. When installing the top cover of the drone body, ensure the latches align perfectly on both sides. Finally, screw the last 4 screws back to secure the top cover. The drone is assembled. Now connect the drone to the remote control and check the camera operation and gimbal rotation. If you found this guide helpful, give us a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe for more drone repair guides. Visit our website for more tech insights and do-it-yourself guides. Remember, every tech challenge is an opportunity to learn and grow. You were on HowFixIT. Thanks for watching and have a safe flight.